I don't show up and they get mad. All right, now I had too much light and now I think I'm in, oh God, this is terrible. So, all right, well, we're live. And now I'm in the dark. Sometimes I'm like, it's too bright and now it's too dark. So one of these days I'm gonna have it figured out. But welcome everybody, it's Catie Harris and I'm here with Jill Weberding.
Hello everyone.
And today we're talking on the Inner Critic about, can I do this business? And you know, Jill, the reason I was thinking about this topic was because we do get a lot of nurses that are interested in starting a business. And I think there's that kind of initial enthusiasm of like, you know, here's my dream. Yeah, this is my dream. This is what I want. This is what I'm going to do. And then it's just kind of like the only obstacle in the way is you know,
all
just
of it.
Yeah.
It's one giant obstacle.
Yeah, you know, just if I could just come up with an idea that was a killer idea, and then I could make $1 million super fast and all that kind of stuff. So, what do you think about this?
Yeah, we do see this a lot, and I've talked to a number of nurses too. And my first thing is to, you know, let them know that any business is not a short game. It's just not. If you're looking for a short game, then starting a business is not what you're looking for, because it's never an overnight success. No matter what you may read, or you know, someone's results, what you're not reading is the 5 years before that, or the 2 years before that, and all the, you know, all the prep before they actually came into the limelight. It might seem like an overnight success, but I mean, I can't even think of cases. Honestly, I can't think of a single case where I've really seen that to be actually true. So when I talk to people, it's really about like, well, just tell me before you know, like there's a fantasy, I think, about starting your own business and being your own boss, and I'm going to set all the rules. And what most people do when they start a business, unless they really plan it, they just end up creating a different prison, like still in prison, different prison. So like, you're going to be really conscientious not to do that.
Yeah, it's one of the struggles that we've had in growing NursePreneurs is that, you know, I've always been a one-woman solo band show. And, you know, now I have like, there's literally like 14 members on my team.
Yeah.
And it's really big, but, you know, I'm still having like one-on-one calls with everybody. And like, this is not scalable at all, you know? So it's just kind of like, you know, I'd created this prison for myself, like you're talking about, of just like the more people I brought on to help me, the more work I actually had to do. Yeah, but and like you said, I also want to go back to what you said on that overnight success, and I'm sure maybe there's one person out there that was an overnight success, and you know, probably the same person that won the lottery. It's not a game.
If you're that person, because I'd love to meet you.
Yeah, it's not a game plan. It's not something that you should plan for. It's something that happens once in a million, 1 in a million. But so let's focus on the long game. And what does it really take to start a business? Like, I mean, what does it take?
Like the number one, I think, characteristic that you have to have is grit. Like you have to be gritty, which in my world means, you know, you have to be incredibly resilient or be willing to build that resilience, because you will be tested over and over again, and you either build it or you quit and get out. You know, most business owners I know have like said they want to quit every day, you know, like 80%, like the whole lifetime of their business. Like, why am I doing this again? And you know why you're doing it, but everyone's going to go through those types of emotions. So you really have to have that drive. That's why you have to really pick something that you absolutely just set your soul on fire. When I talk to nurses, I'm like, you can't go into a business idea that you're mediocre, you know, lukewarm about, because you will never last. Like it's going to feel like drudge work, like from, you know, month 2. So you've got to really be with something that sets your soul on fire, and that you are willing to just grind to make it work in order to see it to fruition.
Right. And I would also say, because I do love, the kind of the follow your passion type of thing, but, for everybody to be clear, it's not enough to just follow
Yes.
your passion.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
we
have
definitely
to
want to
love
go
what
down
you're
that
doing.
road of things that you love to do, but we actually still have to find a problem down that road. Like if the road is rosy and golden, then there's no problems, then you don't have
Yeah.
a business.
Yeah, you have to pick that. And so like I take people through, when I'm doing like I've got a course where I'm teaching nurses how to create courses using their nursing skills and experience. And so like that's the first step is kind of outline what is it that sets your soul on fire, what's your skill set, what's your experience. And then we also like we got to do a market gap analysis and look for, okay, is there something around that? Once you define like these are the 4 things that really set my soul on fire, now it's like, well, what can we actually wrap a business around? You're right, because if you don't have that piece, most successful businesses are solving a problem. So if you don't have that piece, if you can't wrap a business model around it, you don't have anything. You
Right.
got a hobby is what you have. Yeah.
Yeah. And I would also say too, because a lot of our students, and not just, in our group, but I see a lot of it is that a lot of people just want to kind of wrap a course or a business around like information.
Yeah.
And that's it. And, that's not a quick
It's not a
fix.
business.
It's not a business either. Yeah. So yeah, there's definitely some digging. I think that you need to do some soul searching of yourself and soul searching, more importantly, of your audience.
Yes, absolutely. You have to really get to know who it is that you're helping. And so, we see a lot of kind of pitfalls. People and that's why it is so helpful to really partner with someone or find a mentor who is kind of already doing what you're doing or something similar, because they can kind of help you walk through. Because, I know I've seen, the nurses that come through our courses and like they had no idea the actual process. And there is a formula, right? There's a formula of how to define if there is a market gap and, how to put a framework around that. And, information, nobody's paying for that. Like it's too readily available for free. So you have to have a framework around that that's unique to you and really connect with your audience, or nobody's going to really find you in the big red ocean of information land, right?
Right. Right. And especially with stuff like, so, one of the hard truths out there is that information by itself is so readily apparent,
Yeah.
so available that it's not worth anything anymore. Like back in the day when we used to buy dictionaries and encyclopedias and things like, I used to have a whole encyclopedia set like on my bookshelf, right?
Yeah.
Then
Sorry,
information.
Britannica, you're out.
Yeah, any information that you could come across was worth something very valuable, right? Like you would pay for a newsletter, you would pay for like the encyclopedia. You're not going to buy an encyclopedia book now. And I mean, you just go online, it's free, like it's right there, right? I
Yeah.
mean, unless you want some commemorative volume or something, there's giving people information like how to, let's say if you can look up the how-to video on YouTube and get a full explanation, that's probably, you have to add more value, more something to it in order to make it a business
Yes.
product or service.
Absolutely. How-to content alone is not a business, and it's not a course either. Because like you said, it's too readily available. It's out there. They can get that for free. No one's going to pay for that. So there has to be a spin on it, and that's the question. That's where your unique perspective and experience and skill level, comes into play on what's the twist. What are you doing differently than what everybody else is already talking about and it's out there? If there's still a gap, and that's why the research is so incredible, like it's so powerful to really, once you get into that space to find out, is there really still a problem? Why is there such a problem when all this information is readily available? Oh, well, it's this, this, and this. Okay, well, can I wrap a course around that? Can I wrap a business model around that? That's really where the power is.
Yeah, and really just kind of, some of this stuff now, because as me personally, I've been through like tons and tons of courses. I spend a ridiculous amount of money on courses, learning how to do courses on, whatever you can think of. I've done a course on it. And I've gotten to the point now that I feel like I've had this collective experience in that, the information, just to give me the information isn't enough. And it's the one thing that I've taken back into NursePreneurs, because like we could just sell information, but it doesn't help help anybody, and it doesn't make me feel good, and to me, it doesn't promote nursing. What we need is people to actually build the business, and for that, they need, the one-on-one, or the coaching, or, just some sort of like done for you service built into it as well. And I think that's kind of like an angle that people are willing to pay for at this point, because we're so busy. We've got so much going on that if you can build some sort of done for you service into your program, or your information product, if that's what you have, there is a possibility to create that into a business.
Yeah, I think, generally information alone is not going to change behavior, right?
Yes.
So you have to have that component. And I see a lot of people who, have great models where they kind of have a tiered, program where, well, here's just the information. If you're still in the group who thinks that information is enough and that you will be so self-disciplined that you can just watch a video and go, okay, now I know what to do. I'm going to go do it all and like keep myself accountable. That's a very slim percent, I think, of the population. And then there's the next tier where it's like, okay, we'll do it with you. So maybe there's group coaching, or there's, a group that you can join and post questions and get those answered. And then there's that done, for you services type stuff. So there's a lot of opportunity to tier your services. But, again, just the idea of I'm going to record some information and put it out there and expect to, be highly successful. That's not a very accurate, I don't think, case of what business really is.
Yeah, and and it does really come down to connecting, the things that don't actually cost you any money, that for some reason, I know I've been resistant to it, but Jill, maybe you've been resistant to
Painful.
it too. But the things that don't cost me money are actually the most valuable things that I could do, such as going out and meeting people, and networking, and talking about, just connecting with people, even on social media, just connecting with people on social media and saying, hey, this is really interesting what you're doing. And just, it's like you have to be this sieve of information, like always
Yep.
pulling information, and not just in nursing or just in your field, but go outside of the field and pull things in from other, that's basically what I did here, because I was so engrossed in entrepreneurialism and copywriting skills and marketing and all that, that I pulled from those different seminars and courses and everything, and have brought it to nurses.
Yes.
But I mean, you could go out into any field, no matter how unrelated, and find something of
Learn
significance.
something.
Yeah, learn something that you could apply. You could go into the trucking industry, learn how they do something, and pull it back into like a product or service. And that would be a different twist on something.
Absolutely. I mean, and that's kind of, and I'm a course, I don't know if I'm saying course junkie, I'm leaning that way. I'm always, I love learning. And so I'm always looking for, how do I get better in what I do? And so I am looking to who are the thought leaders in this, in this realm that I really feel like I want to learn more about. And so I will get that information or work with them, and then I take it back. Steve is a great, analogy of what you do with, okay, what are some of those out there? And some of it might be free content, but it's like, well, this resonates, and I see where I can plug this into what I'm doing. And this really, I think, will, benefit and move people further. But I can't tell you the comments that I've had from, and the feedback I've had from, students that I've worked with, where it will be they will have a bigger, more powerful shift in a 20-minute conversation, a 1-hour coaching call, than the 6 modules that, of content that's actually telling them how to do something, or showing them, walking them through. Even live classes, that coaching time of really getting in there and figuring out, oh, that's where they're blocked, right? That's what changes behavior. That's where you see the big shifts.
And that's actually, I've kind of started to move so my original model was a 6-module course. Here's how you set up a business. And, it was like, good luck and that kind of stuff. And, it's good information. It's just that nobody was doing anything with it. And they just kind of were paralyzed or stopped dead. And I was like, well, this isn't, it's great that I got a little bit of money, but it didn't serve a purpose, and it's not something that I wanted to continue. So then I created like more information and added in some coaching. And then, one of the things that I actually realized was that I had so much information that the nurses weren't actually even going through my content. They were just doing these one-on-one calls with me. And I was like, well, I don't even need the course. All
Yeah.
I need is like coaching. Yeah, so that's the model that we're looking at now is like, all right, let's scrap most of this material because nobody's watching it anyway. Nobody's got 50 hours to watch videos, and let's just go straight to the coaching and see what kind of milestones we can reach just by giving you goals and say, hey, this is the milestone we need to reach within a month. And, here's your 4 weekly goals. And these are the things that need to get done to reach them.
Yeah. And so every business is different. And you just have to really understand and get clear on what it is that you want to do. What is it that you want to create? Maybe it really is this mass, education still with a spin, your spin on it, that's making it different than what's already out there. But it's a much lower price point. And so your goal is just to get it out to as many people as possible. It's really not causing huge change and shifts in behavior and their thoughts. That's a different model. So you have to really get clear when you say, I want to start a business. You have to be clear about what you want, and sometimes it may not be the topic. We've seen people who have come through who they literally just could not for the life of them decide what they wanted to do. They just wanted to have a business. And so you can frame it around, well, how many hours do you want to work? And are you planning on traveling? Do you need to be, in one physical location? And then we, like you've been doing this with NursePreneurs, where you will actually show them, well, here's some of the business models that we've already created and had great success with. Are any of these things that set your soul on fire, or that you really, want to do, that will allow you to have that lifestyle that you're looking for?
Yeah, and I think and that might be a topic for another day as well. But one of the things that I don't think we spend enough time on is thinking about what does our ideal life look like, and what is it that we're really trying to achieve? Because we've talked about this before. Like, I just want to sit on the deck and read a book and drink a glass of wine, and I don't need a whole lot of money to do this. So I need to. What you say you want and what you're doing to get it aren't aligned, then you're never going to get it. And if you don't have a vision of what it is that you want, it's very hard to get there. Like, it doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't matter which way you go because you're never going to get there because you don't know where you're going. But what are the things? And, I read something, I'll have to put it out there, but it was, talking about the different things that you spend your money on. I spend my money on experiences and people helping me. So like maid service or, cooking service or, just, I can't even think of anything right now, but services and experiences, like 80% of my income goes to that I love doing. Some people like clothes or cars or nice houses. Like, where is all your money going, and what is that? Is it going to the places that you really want to go? So, and then it's honestly, like, you might think that has nothing to do with the business, but it has everything to do with the business. Yeah.
Everything to do with the business. And, so that's just so important that you do that from day one, not, 6 months into your business, because you're just prolonging how long it's going to take you to get there. If you aren't clear from the beginning, it's like the Alice in Wonderland, like where do you want to go? Like, which way should I go? Where are you trying to get to? I don't really care. Well, then I guess it doesn't matter. Like, you can go any way you want to go because you have no idea where you're going to end up. Don't seem to care where you're going to end up. So, don't set yourself up for this, like, and then we get like burnout and frustrated and like disheartened that we're not having the success, sooner. We're not, well, but I'm not making money. Well, how long have you been in business? Oh, I've been in business, 9 months or a year. Well, what are you doing so far? Well, I haven't really put anything out there. And I'm like, well, how could you make money? Like, right? I mean, it's like, you're not going to make any money if you don't have an offer. So,
right. Yeah, that's a good place to start.
Yeah, like start by, if it's one-on-one clients or it is putting a course out there, you have to start somewhere. You can't make money until you make an offer. And so, you just got to have that clarity from the beginning. And if you can't, if you're struggling with that, then get with a mentor who can help you, get clear and ask you those right questions so that you can, guide on your path and figure out which direction do I really want to go? Is it a business? Maybe it's not. you
Right.
know?
Yeah. I mean, that's a good point too, because I have had some nurses call me, or, I've been on Zoom calls with them, and they'll say, I want to make money, and that's kind of their goal. And I'm like, well, that's not a business goal like that, that's
That's
not
just an
a
income
re
goal.
yeah. So I'm like, there's a lot of different ways to reach an income goal. If your income goal is to make, $300,000 a year or something, like, I don't, maybe you need to talk to a wealth financial analyst or something, right? Because
Well,
I mean, the
yeah.
business, you're going to probably spend $300,000 before you make it back.
Well, and like some nurses we see too, I think, and this is why I love, when I found you, to see like really expanding the vision. And that's kind of where my business is going more too, is really just expanding the vision for nurses beyond traditional nursing roles. Like, we've met people who are like, oh, I just can't do the 12-hour shifts anymore. I'm getting out of nursing. And I'm like, why would you get out of nursing? Why don't you just move jobs? Like
Yeah,
get out of the hospital or take a different position in the hospital that's not bedside. And so you're not doing 12 hours. Like there are so many different options in nursing. You don't have to start a business, although there's tons of opportunities to do that. But if that's not your forte, if it's just an income goal, if it's just a work from home goal, there's tons of existing nursing positions that are like just sitting here waiting for you to apply for. We can
right.
show you, that too. So again, that's part of that clarity
Yeah,
from
no,
the
absolutely.
beginning.
Because when I was working for corporate Walmart, one of my duties was to go out and meet nursing leaders and all this stuff. And, prior to that, I had worked in the unit and just, I don't know, was living in a bubble or something, because I could not see past where I was working.
Yeah.
So I didn't have any vision to anything else going on in the world. I thought the only role for me was to work on the unit. And that just, it's just such a limited view of kind of like where you are. And you have to go
Yes.
outside of yourself, outside of where you are, outside of what you're doing, and say, hey, okay, what's everybody else doing that's interesting and different? And I mean, it's one of the reasons I started the podcast, is so that people could see the Nursepreneur podcast, people could see what other nurses were doing. And there's some amazing freaking nurses out
Amazing.
there. Like,
Yes. It's so diverse. That's
yeah,
why
I'm
I'm
blown
like,
away.
I never understand it when I, hear, people, nurses who are saying they're just, burnout and they just need to get out of nursing. They just can't do it anymore. And I'm like, why? Like, what do you mean? And it's like, they're basically burnout on working inpatient 12-hour shifts every other weekend and all the holidays. And I'm like,
Yeah,
so why don't you pick one of the other 7,000 nursing opportunities that don't include that specific,
yeah,
profile?
yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I can't even think of another career that has as much diversity in options of, you want to work with adults? You can do that. You want to work with peds? You can do that. You want to work with elderly? You can do that. Inpatient? Done. You want to work 3 days a week? You can have it. You want to work, in a clinic, 8 to 5? Done. You want to work in a corporate? We got that too. Like you want to work from home? Done. Like it's all nursing, like there's so many. You want to work in a school? We got a job for that. Like,
Yeah,
get check. Nursing, 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 nursing. It's
yeah,
all, you want to write, you want to be a nurse writer? There's very lucrative. You can totally make that a career and still use your nursing skills. So
yeah, yeah. No, I love that. I mean, I love that. And then, like I said, that was every time I do another interview on the podcast, I'm like, I want to start that business. That sounds really.
yeah. Can I just
But
come, like shadow you? Is it gonna take a nurse to work day? Like, can I just come shadow you for the day and just see the cool stuff that you're doing? I love it.
yeah, yeah. No, me too. All right. So, what are some like key takeaways that we can wrap this up with
Yeah.
about what nurses should be doing, and can they start a business? What are some of the first steps that they should be doing? Like,
Okay, so I think when someone comes to me, the first question is, can they start a business? Absolutely. There are thousands of nurses across the country who all have businesses. The biggest question is, do you really want to start a business? And so
right,
let's get clear on that first. Like what are your goals? Is it an income goal? Is it an impact goal? I have found that what I originally thought was, for me, I was driven by an income goal and in having flexibility where I can, balance that, have that work personal life harmony. It was really more about an impact goal for me. And so that is absolutely what drives me. So I make decisions based on impact, not income. So you just have to get clear on what it is that's important for you. And then we can start to, help guide you of, is that a course? Is that a business? Is it consulting? Is it just a different type of nursing that already exists out here and will give you, the ability to sit on your couch and drink wine and read a book, or the ability to travel, or the ability to work from home, whatever, what is it that's super important to you? So you've got to get clear. That's absolutely the first step.
All right. No, it sounds really good. And, I think it's something that everybody needs to think about and just be very, very clear about what it is that you want, just like Jill said. And that truly is the first step. And then the second step is simply finding a problem that you can solve.
Yeah.
And everything else from there is much easier. Once you get
There
those
are
two
people
things.
to help, there will always be, an opportunity for a business, an opportunity, for income. You just have to find that match. Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, everybody, if you guys have questions, always you can put them in the chat box. You can email us at support@catieharris.com if you have topics that you want to hear us talk about. We'll be here every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern, and we'll see you guys next week.
All right. Bye, guys. Have a great week.